Boop. Okay. Um, oh yes. So I'm not using Streamlabs, so I'm not sure if this is actually going to go live. But okay, I'm not going to say anything like talking about like what the point of the stream is until there are more people watching, just so I don't have to explain it. I guess I could type it in Notepad. What is it? Oh, we popped out. Hi people. Hello, a guy who plays Roblox and respect Beggy. Hello, T Swanee, and Ruben, and some stupid person on the internet. Anyway, what I wanted to do in this stream, so actually let me just pull it up. Should I do it now or later? Okay, so there's this administration called Social Security in the United States that, no, go away. They deal with, I guess, like giving money to retired people, elderly, so they can like live. I mean, you know what Social Security is, and every year it's only for the United States in case you don't live in the U.S., but every year they collect data about the most popular baby names given to babies born in that year, and they've compiled this into a giant data set that you can analyze. And I've made lots of videos about it. So like this is the first video I made about this subject. Oh no, this is actually the boy's name one, so it's the second one I've made about this subject. And there's just a lot of fascinating historical and cultural things you can glean from this. And it's sort of a hobby I have that people always think is very strange, and I just don't know if it's that relatable to other people, but I figured I might as well share it with you now, because it's sort of topical, because the data comes out in early May of every year, and I think it just came out for 2020's data, because 2020 finished 4 months ago, so it's going to come out now. And so I'm going to look at it, and what's interesting is in 2020 they had to delay the release of the data by like 4 months, and I was not aware of that, so that was a little annoying. No one was sure when it was going to come out or if it was going to even come out at all. But what I wanted to tell you was I didn't want to look at any of the data before I pulled up the stream, because I wanted to get an honest reaction of what I thought was going to happen. But while I was casually checking my email this morning, I got this message, which is, well, it was a really pleasant surprise, but it was also in a way a spoiler, which I think is funny. So I got an email from the creators of BehindTheName.com, and Behind the Name is a website that compiles a lot of this data and also a lot of the history of names, and there's an article about every name. Anyway, they said this was a pleasant surprise. They said your predictions for the top 10 names of 2020 were the most accurate. And what happened was a couple weeks ago, I sort of figured, if I'm this invested in baby names and I've been not studying, but I've been interested in this for about 6+ years, because I started this project in 2014. I might as well give it my best shot in this prediction competition, which I know happens every year, and see what happens. And I guess I won. So it says your predictions. I censored a lot of the stuff that I don't know if people want me to share. I don't like it when people take screenshots of messages I thought were going to stay private and then leak them. So I don't appreciate that. So I wanted to sort of make sure that doesn't happen here. But they did tell me that I was tied with one other person. And I think that's really cool, because this might be a website used by millions of people. I don't know how many people entered in the competition, but the fact I won is pretty cool. And I could actually show you what I did. Let's see if this is. Let's see, I don't want to leak any stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna. So what I did to sort of predict popularity, I mean, part of it was just using common sense and what I know about the U.S. world of culture and all that. But a bigger chunk of it just came to math, because. Okay, I'm pulling it up. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not leaking any private info. So what I did was I downloaded. Okay, this looks. this looks like I tried really hard, but I figure, if you're gonna compete in a competition, you might as well try to win. So, where's the chat? I want to make sure that you guys are still here. I downloaded the data of the top 20 names every year from 2010 to 2020, and I basically just extrapolated. So, if you look at 2018's data and 2019's data, and you just assume if it's increasing, it'll keep increasing, then you can get a prediction for the top 10 names. And this is assuming you don't even need to know anything about culture or what movies came out that might have promoted names, or even that the COVID pandemic happened. None of that is needed to just produce this. It's the most simple mathematical model you could ever make, but it made me win. Not it made me win. The model was good enough to put me on top. So I guess the one example of sort of something that this model might help tell you is not many people will look at the actual numbers. They'll just look at the rankings. So this is the order of the top names in 2019, so 2 years ago. And you might just think, oh, Liam is first, which it is, or I guess it probably still is if I won. See, I don't know what the 2020 rankings are. Anyway, Liam and Noah are first and second, and Oliver is third. But 5 years ago, Liam and Noah were still at the top, but Oliver was 20th. So you might think, oh my gosh, Oliver is rising really fast. Based on that momentum, I think it'll rise to first place. And that is a very valid prediction. If names have inertia, then they're going to keep rising. But what this model would show you is that Liam is in blue. By the way, this is flipped horizontally, so what's on the left is the most recent. Liam is in blue, and Noah is in red, and basically there's a huge gap between Liam and Noah. So if you were just purely looking at rankings, you wouldn't notice this, and you'd make the wrong prediction that Oliver could overtake Liam, and there's just no way in hell that's ever going to happen. So, yeah, using these things, actual numbers can give you much more, a much better picture of who's actually going to cross and who isn't. Yeah, but I don't want to toot my horn too much, because just because I won the tournament doesn't mean I got all my predictions correct. But this is what I did for boys. Okay, so Liam, Noah, Oliver, Will. My only big risky moves with the predictions were that Henry was going to enter top 10, because in 2019 Henry was 12th. I'll look at the rankings more clearly, but Henry was my big risky move. And then for girls, I think the girls are more spread out than the boys, so actually fewer changes are even going to happen. I don't think I didn't make any risky moves for girls. So, yeah. Okay, enough delaying. Let's just look at the numbers. Okay. Oh, thanks for the congratulations, Rated Pie. I did win. Ian Woodruff asks, what's the one that drops off suddenly? If we're looking at boys, the orange one is William. And the thing is, okay, this data point right here is 2018, this one's 2019, and you have to sort of cover it up because everything to the left here is just a prediction. So it looks like William drops even further, but I actually accounted for that in my prediction. Basically, I said I think it's a fluke. So William should be below James. You can see that these two are not sorted. But I was like, if William dropped because of a fluke, it's probably not going to keep dropping. But that could be wrong, so I got to look at the data. As for the one that's dropping really, really fast, I don't know. Oh, Logan. Okay, Logan had a big spike in 2017, probably because of Logan Paul or something. But the fact it's coming back down really fast might just be sort of a pullback from a previous artificial high. Anyway, okay, and then for girls, Emma is falling. Yeah, I know it's so weird that it's flipped horizontally. Actually, let me fix that. That's really annoying me. How do I chart? Customize horizontal axis. Can I flip it? Okay, there we go. Why didn't I do that earlier? God, okay. Flip. Please flip. There we go. Okay, so this makes a lot more sense. Then okay, why is it so zoomed in? Anyway, let's look at the numbers. So I'm just going to search SSA names. And I'm guessing it'll just, top baby names of 2020. Okay, this is it. This is the big moment. This is what I was trying to guess. Oh my gosh, Henry IX. Okay, so the risky play paid off. I am just shocked because, like, okay, if you just look at history of Henry, again, this is by rank, and my mantra of this whole model was don't trust anything by rank. Always go by raw count. But if you look at the numbers, like, imagine you can't see this top one. Like, you can only see up to 2019, and you see the ranks are going 37th, 33rd, 29th, 22nd, 18th, 16th, 12th. And now you're tasked with guessing what is it going to be in 2020. I just randomly pulled 9th out of my butt, and now it is correct. 9th is correct. So, let's take a look at... Okay, I don't like how the chat keeps disappearing. Let me fix this. Okay. So yeah, actually a better website I like to use to look at this stuff is behindthename.com. Well, that's where the prediction game happened. Oh shoot, I could actually show you. Let me think. Well, look, let's look at this first. So if you go to Henry and you click on this chart, it goes all the way back to 1880, which I think is a lot, much more of a clearer picture, because something like this here is only showing you the last 20 years, and it looks like Henry is just rising out of nowhere. But what this tells you is that it was even more popular in the 1880s, and sort of, it's a vintage name that's faded out of use, and then, you know, it reached a what's the word? A low point in the 1980s, and then it's risen because it's like a vintage name, and all the old Henrys have died, so now the association is not with old grandparents, but more of just classic timelessness. Anyway, okay, let me look at my predictions and just compare them side by side. So, okay, how am I going to do this? So, let me paste it here. Oh, okay, this is good. So this is just my general predictions. This is reality. Nope. 2020. Okay, let's see how close I got. So, number 1, I said Liam. Correct answer, Liam. Number 2, Noah, Oliver. I was pretty certain those top 3 were easy. Again, because if you look at the chart, they're so far apart. And then Elijah, what? William, James. Wait. Okay, I got the first 9 correct. I got these correct. So let me highlight the correct ones with green. That's a good green. And then number 10th I got wrong. So I guessed Ethan, but the correct 10th place was Alexander. And I'm going to forgive myself for that because my model put my model put Alexander in 11th. So what actually happened is Alexander, like if you look at these actual numbers, we're talking about 0.554% of the population versus 0.564, so that's going to be so few babies it doesn't even matter. And then if you look at the chart, where is Ethan? See, Ethan, oh my god, this is, we're really pulling at straws now. Oh my god, Alexander's the one in orange, and Ethan is the one in... It's all so close that it's hard to tell. But I think the Henry call was the thing I'm most proud of. But what this also means is that a bunch of names just fell off. Like Mason is no longer in the top 10. And Mason was, almost first place 10 years ago. So that happened. Okay, let's look at girls. How well did I do? Okay, let me talk to the chat for a little bit. PK Squirtle wants to know, why aren't people naming their child Beggy? Well, Beggy was not a huge nationwide fad until 2021, so we're going to need to wait a whole year before we see the Beggy data come in. Don't name your children Beggy, though. They're going to have a traumatized life. Okay, so I guessed the most popular girl's name was going to be Olivia, and it was. So this is Olivia's second year at the top. Then we have Emma and Emma, Ava and Ava, Oh wow, okay, I got a lot wrong here. So I guess Charlotte was gonna be 6th, but it was actually 4th. So there's like a 3 cycle. These guys are all wrong, but it's because Charlotte sort of was above Sophia and Amelia. This is sort of like when you, like, imagine you're in school and the teacher wants you to like describe the order of historical events. Maybe the order of the American Revolution, and you put something. You make one mistake. You say, I think this event that was supposed to be 4th, I'm gonna put it in like 6th, and everything gets shifted off by 1, and then like the teacher's like, oh, you got 50% on your test, but it's really only one mistake that shifted everything. So, yeah, but I got the rest right. So that IMEH, and yeah, okay. So let me put this green. So I got 16 out of 20. Hooray! Yay me! But let me see what I did wrong. So it's this Charlotte, Sophia, Amelia bunch, and on my chart, Charlotte is in. Where are you? No, Amelia is rising fast. Okay, so Amelia is orange. Charlotte is in this sort of teal turquoise color. Oh, Not Fine says that's why I hate those problems. Yeah, I agree. Ordering problems are dumb or very hard to grade. You can see. Okay, look at the orange line, the teal line, and this green line. And see how close they all come right there at the end? I'm not surprised that like a very small fluctuation would just push Charlotte over the top. And I know people are going to say, oh, you should have seen that coming because of Princess Charlotte, in England, right? Queen of England, her great-granddaughter is named Charlotte. And the thing is, like, that would have boosted her name like every year. So I think she was born in 2016. So the fact that like she exists, like it's already boosted the name up. But oh my god, 2020, yeah, Charlotte. Okay, so yeah, Sophia and Charlotte. Like you can see that they're coming from opposite directions and they finally crossed. Okay, people are saying I'm legally changing my name to Beggy. Don't do that. Do not do that. Okay, so here's what I want to show you now. I don't know why I pronounced that weird. Show you. Let's look at the predictions. Let's go to, I forget how you get there. There's some sort of game. Oh, interact, predict rankings. Okay, everyone pay attention. So the Silly Seal Squad, my name is supposedly very rare because I spell the name with an O and not an E. My name is Braydon. Oh, I was gonna try to guess what your name is based on just that fact, but then you said it was Braydon. I guess it's just Brayden. I was gonna guess, is your name Amelie instead of Emily? That would be funny. But anyway, the data for 2020 just came in, so they've already changed it to top names for 2021. But here's what I want to click on to boost my ego. It might be helpful to examine the most popular names for 2020. If you wish, click here to fill. Okay, what if I click here? What happens? There's like a leaderboard somewhere. Scores for 2020. Okay, are you ready? Oh my gosh, look at that list. Look at that list. Oh my gosh. This is so weird. Like, my name is literally on at the top of this leaderboard. So, in the email that I showed you earlier, they did say you are tied with one other person, and I wanted to like hide this other stuff because I was like, maybe the other person doesn't want me to know. But like, the other person, it's on this public leaderboard that everyone can go to, so I figure it's fine. So I tied with Scorb. So good job, Scorb, and also Christopher 99 Aguilar and Yarsel are only 1 point behind. So, like, essentially, we're all tied. Like, I didn't do that much better than anyone else. But, oh my gosh, Danny's in the chat. Hi, Danny. Yeah, so I'm at the top of this leaderboard, and I want to see, okay, here's what, oh, this is my profile. Okay, I want to see what mistakes I made versus what mistakes Scorb made. So, I don't know if there's any way to contact Scorb. Maybe we should become best friends or something. Okay, so here's me. I think, yeah, Scorb and I are both going to get a prize. Okay, so you get 10 points for every name you get right on the mark. You get 5 points if you're off by 1 rank, 3 points if you're off by 2 ranks, and 1 point if you're off by 3 ranks, and then no points beyond that. But Ethan is the real loser here. All Ethans in the chat need to be sad, because what that means is that like Ethan very underperformed in my model. So like my model said Ethan was going to get 10th and actually got 13th. Okay, where are you? Okay, Ethan, all right. Okay, no, let's okay, I have to open up another tab. I already have 7 tabs open. I told myself this wasn't going to happen, but okay, look at this. You can even see it in this chart how if you were to extrapolate the slope going downwards, it's like pretty gentle, and then there's a huge drop by 2020, and I don't know what. Oh, everyone's saying oof to Ethan. Sam Burgers says, Sam Burgess says, I know an Ethan. Well, rest in peace to all Ethans. So something happened in 2020 that made people not want to use the name anymore. But, I mean, okay, this is all very minor stuff, so it's not like actually that bad. Okay, anyway, this is Scorb's listing. Wait, did they put the exact same listing as me? Okay, I have to... No, they didn't. For boys, they did, which I'm, like, spooked by. They put the exact same... But for girls, it's the same 3 that got wrong, but instead of Sophia, Amelia, Charlotte, they put Amelia, Charlotte, Sophia. So they chose the only other permutation of those 3 names where all 3 were wrong. But that means we'd get the exact same score. So... we got the same score, and then the people who got 1 point lower, let's see, how do you even get 1 point lower? Because, okay, so you get 1 point lower if you, okay, I don't know, Mason being 2 off. This is like a whole other permutation. So you get 1 name, 2 off, and then 4 names, 1 off. Then you would get a score 1 point lower. But yeah, it seems to be the same kind of cluster of girls' names in the middle that were losing people most of their points. Yeah, like it just seems like across the board, everyone did better on the boys' side than the girls' side. Maybe just because it was a lot more changes happened on the girls' side. Okay. Anyway, that's cool. Enough of that. T. Swanee asks, how many kids are going to end up being named Quarantina or something stupid like that? I don't think that's ever going to happen. Like, I know that there are a ton of TikTok memes. Oh my god. A ton of TikTok memes about how the 2020s babies are going to be named Corona and Social Distance. But I don't think any parents are actually going to follow with that. Because... like maybe 1 or 2, there'll be like a news story of one parent doing that. But what tends to happen is if there's a common name that people already know about that is somehow related, maybe it'll rise. So I think what's actually more interesting that I want to look at now is the names beyond the top 10. So let's see, how can I get there? Like I do want to see like which names started rising really fast that we didn't expect. And 2020. Okay, wait, hold up. Wait, is this real? Wait, Gianna? Hold up. Oh, what? Wait, is this for... See, the thing is, like, I check this data so much that I kind of know generally where every name is. So, like, I know if a name is was generally in like sort of the top 10 range or the top 20 range or the top 50, and Gianna was definitely not even close. Yeah, look at that, 79th to 12th. Okay, guys, what happened to Gianna? Was there like a movie about Gianna? Gianna Maria Honore Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Wait, oh my gosh, this is sad. Oh my gosh. But that actually makes sense. Because she also died in the helicopter crash. Oh my god. Like, I did not expect that to, like... Because how many babies is that? Let's do some math. Like, we're doing math. So, I'm going to calculate the percentage change. So this is the percentage change. And 1% is 0.01. And there's about 2 million new babies of either gender in the US per year. So that's 5,200 new people named Gianna in 2020 that wouldn't have been otherwise. Okay, so that's probably the fastest rising name of this year. So Camila, this might be because of Camila Cabello, but I think Camila in general has been a trending name for the last 20 years. Oh yeah, T. Swanee says it happened at the beginning of the year too, so it had a lot of time to rise. That is very true, because if something happened in January, then there are 11 months of the year for sort of future babies to have that effect. So there's that. And I think, like, all the others make sense. I was sort of thinking about this name, Luna, because if you don't look at 2020, Luna was rising so fast that I thought, like, this one had a shot, but I guess it's kind of running out of steam. Maybe it's just like a sigmoid function. You know, at some point, the slope has to slow down. Okay, TRE asks, how common is Boris? Not very, I don't think. Like, it's not in the top 1,000. Like, it definitely reminds me of, like, an old person's name. Oh yeah, okay, so, yeah. Anyway, let's see what else. Henry... Levi plus Theodore plus 13. I think Levi and Theodore. You can also compare names, by the way. Like if you click on Theodore Roosevelt. By the way, when you look at a boy's name of some, well, hopefully this happens to girls' names in the future as well. But if you look at a president's name in the U.S., you can tell when they were president because the name got a huge boost then. So Theodore Roosevelt was president from, I think, 1901 to 1909, but I'm not entirely sure, but it's coming back because it's a vintage name. And then you can compare names and you can see, like, oh, they're both rising at the same time. Obviously Levi was never a president's name, but that still happened. The most obvious example of this is Grover, and I think I like using Grover as an example because no one else is named Grover, right? Like, I bet me and you, none of you know a Grover in real life, but Grover Cleveland was president in 1884 and in 1892. Like, he's the president who had, like, 2 non-consecutive terms. So the fact you can see that, like, there's a peak in 84 and in 92 is a pretty clear indication that's because of he was president. Oh, hi, Animation Object Show. Actually, if you just showed up, I was bashing your name, like, a few minutes ago. Well, I wasn't really bashing it, but, like, I was just pointing out how, just because of how the data came out, Ethan was one of the fastest falling names of 2020, and I still haven't figured out why. Yeah, so this is no dig against people who have the name, but something happened. Anyway, some people said, let's see, I saw someone say, I think it is a sigmoid, and I just wanted to respond to, oh yeah, someone online says, I don't know if it's a sigmoid, considering the fact that it can certainly go up infinitely, assuming we had infinite things to live on. Well, it is sort of a sigmoid percentage-wise, though, because a name can't reach 100% of the population. So I think even more than a sigmoid, though, it's going to look like a... I don't know what you call this. Like, at some point, it's going to come back down. So this is the name Debbie, short for Deborah. And this is a very, like, middle-aged name, or maybe more of a grandma name now. And it's so symmetrical on both sides. It makes you almost think that this stuff is inevitable, right? Like, you can't sway it one way or the other. The real Razor Ryan asks, did the same thing happen with Barack and Donald? Well, interestingly, I think Donald is too old of a name to have experienced anything come back because it was just so popular in the 1930s, reaching almost 3% of the population, that it's like there's nowhere to go but down, essentially. So it's like, if you actually even look at the percentages, they keep going down during that presidency. But that sort of makes sense to me for multiple reasons. And I sort of have these like rules of thumb. Basically, people in popular media can boost an already rising name, but they can't save a falling name. And what I mean by I'm not gonna look at comments. I don't want. It's gonna get like controversial in there. Yeah, I don't think Barack ever hit top 1,000. But what I wanted to point out is Justin Bieber is arguably the most popular singer of the 2010s, and you might expect that to cause a boost to the name, but it was already a falling name by 2010, so it's sort of like a lost cause. So again, this isn't a dig to anyone who has the name Justin. It's just a sort of a mathematical fact that if you're on the tail end of a trend, like, you just can't revive it. Okay, let's see. Someone wants to know, what about Mickey? Mickey, like Mickey Mouse? I mean, I don't think Mickey is even the most popular nickname of Michael. I guess it was big in the 1950s, but I know that, you know, Michael was the #1 name from 1955 to like 1995 or something. So it's like one of the longest reigning champions. But even compared to like Mike, I'm sure Mike is more popular than Mickey. Oh my god. Oh, this is another interesting trend. I don't know if it has to do with like Social Security and the way they tally up the data. Oh, T. Swanee says, you underestimate how much the internet hated Bieber when he rose to fame. Don't worry, like, I know about that because I lived it. Like, I was in middle school when Justin Bieber got famous, and like every other kid in my class talked about how, you know, it was the worst. Baby is the worst song ever, and it makes my ears bleed. So like, I definitely lived that culture as well. But if you think of any nickname, no, not Tommy. Tommy's not the right one. Bob, maybe? Yeah, okay, so this could be biased by the way Social Security restores its, collects its data, but like a lot of these old-fashioned nicknames have this very weird like shape to it in the like 50s and 60s, and I don't think this is because of how parents actually perceive these names. I think it has more to do with like the administrative, like, you know, how did you collect this name, and would you rather write Bob on the birth certificate or Robert? You know, you might as well name it Robert. But this looks very artificial to me. Like, here's another one. This is so artificial. This is Tim and Mike. So that's very spooky. Yeah. So okay, I saw some people saying that like they were also history buffs. I'm trying to think of another example. Oh, so the United States went into, I think, the Spanish-American War in around 1898, I think. Okay, I don't want to be spreading misinformation, so let's just verify. Spanish-American War, is it 1898? I'm right, okay, it's 1898. And the name of the general that, one of the, like, okay, let me get this right. So one of the commanders of this war that helped the U.S. win was named George Dewey. And when did they win it? It was in, it was in 1898. So basically, if you look at Dewey, oh my gosh, there's a big spike. 1898. What could have caused that? Even some girls were named Dewey, and it's like, you can see it says 0.8% of the population. So this is like it's not insignificant. It's like essentially 1% of people were named Dewey that year, which is cool. If you compare it with George, you can see the spikes line up, right? Like George also got a George is in green. Do the name Smedley? No, Smedley's not going to result in anything. Flexi the second asks, what about Felix? I think Felix is more popular in other countries, right? Like, so let's see. In Austria, it got up to 1.9%, but in the U.S., it didn't rank very high, although it's rising, which is interesting. Yeah, it's at the highest it's ever been in the U.S. right now. Yeah, so there's that. Oh, let's check out Kobe. Again, rest in peace. What a very tragic death. Yeah, look, it's rising really fast. I mean, I guess it's good that people are commemorating the passing of a legend, but it's also like interesting because that means like the kid. Okay, well, we won't know the kid's opinions on this for like 15 years until they have enough time to like mature and grow up. So Nevaeh is one of, I shouldn't say this, but like Nevaeh is a very controversial name, and it's the word heaven spelled backward, and it was popularized in 2000 when I think a rock singer gave it to his daughter. And it's, okay, most sort of unique or niche or sort of crazy spelling names don't take off, but this name did, and like you can see that in 2010 it was ranked 25th in the country. And what I think is interesting is like we'll probably start hearing from Nevaehs soon, as in like, by 2010 you probably can't ask the Nevaehs who are under 10 years old, what do you think of your own name? I mean, you could, and they probably give you an answer of I like it or I don't like it, but they wouldn't understand like the social implications of being placed in a world where your name affects your perception or how other people perceive you. And now that the oldest Nevaehs are turning about 20 and they might be entering the job market, we might be able to get more perspectives on this name. So I think that's very interesting. Elon's name is not going to be here. Oh, Seth Aruski says, I know a Nevaeh. That's really cool. Like, I think that is important to realize, because if you look at the comments, like, they're not very... Oh, okay, it's controversial, but it's like they're real people with the name who didn't choose to have the name. So, like, if you... Yeah, I guess, okay, some people are already talking about having the name, but it's not their fault either way, and you shouldn't, like, bash someone for that. Okay, yeah. So there's that. Asher rose 11 ranks. Yeah, this is interesting. See, it's like I'm gonna have to like reacclimatize myself to all of these new rankings. Oh, Mixie says, I went to school with someone named Nevaeh. That is really cool to know. I mean, like, I guess if you grew up in a generation post Nevaeh, it might just seem natural, because like it doesn't seem so natural to me just because I'm older than that. So but if I was surrounded with Nevaehs, it would just seem like a normal name. Okay, so Asher rose 11 ranks, and I think this might just be a trending name because this curve is very smooth. There's no like sudden blips. And I know that, okay, is this Isla or Isla? Isla. This name is rising pretty quickly. Maybe it'll even overtake Isabella. No, this is a long way to go. Maverick is like, I don't know how much this has to do with Logan Paul. Maybe it's just like a cool name that people like, because more people are being named Maverick now than, like, I think Logan Paul was the most famous like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and Maverick is continuing to go up despite that. So I think that's interesting. Something else. Oh, I wanted to talk about invented names. So one of the big criticisms of Nevaeh is that it's an invented name, but we've had these before. So I think what's interesting is Wendy, which is also a fast food restaurant, but that's not important. One of the theories is that I read this here. This is actually where I got the exact information. But a theory is that it was coined in 1904 by the creator of Peter Pan. And it says it was created from the nickname Fwendy, meaning friend, given to the author by a young friend. So you can imagine people in 1904 are like, Wendy, Fwendy, that's not a real name. We're just making a big joke out of it. But, like, nobody nowadays, when they hear that a woman is named Wendy, would think, like, that's a fake name, right? Like, Wendy's are all in their, like, 40s and 50s now. So I think it's reached the sort of maturity where people take it seriously now. Well, they take it seriously, but I wonder if the fast food restaurant has switched up on that. Yeah. Oh, Tim Herman says do Leonardo. I know that Leonardo is a trendy name as well, especially just the nickname Leo. Yeah. I think L in general is a... Oh, actually, they're kind of like... They were doing well across the whole decade, but in the last year they both went down. Okay. I should respond to the comments to see what you guys are saying. Sige says, do you think any parents consciously try to think of a new and or trendy name, or do they just automatically think of those names? I think that... I mean, the parents who are trying to come up with unique names will choose them because they're unique, and the fewer other people who have also used it, the better, right? So if they hear, like, this name has never appeared in our databases ever before, that's a good thing to them. Oh yeah, someone said that they're named Braden. So I know Braden with the E is the most popular, but let's try with the O. Braden. Okay, so that's interesting. That's just about a 10-to-1 ratio. So for every 10 Bradens, you'll come across one Braydon, although I know that's not how it's pronounced. Oh yeah, I think this is like really interesting. Find any name that ends with Aiden, and it probably will have peaked in 2010. Like, okay, here's Braden, 2010. Compare it with Jaden, 2010. Compare it with Aiden, 2010. Compare it with what other? Zayden. Like, I know this is... Oh, Zayden is not... Zayden is breaking the trend by not doing that. Hayden's another one. But I think that... Okay, this is a little different as well. But, names... What's the phrase? Like, birds of a flock fly together. So we have a flock going on. Aiden with an A. Aiden with an A is the original spelling. So, like, if your family cares a lot about, I guess, cultural importance and, like, accuracy, then you would probably choose this version. So what I think is interesting, so Aiden with an A is in blue, and Aiden with an E is in green. So it sort of makes sense that if there's two different spellings, the original historically accurate one is going to rise first, because, that's what people think is the right way. And then if a variant is going to come and overtake it, it's going to rise later. And then it swaps. And so by 2013, like, there are 5 Aidens for every Aidan, which I mean, must suck if you're an Aidan. It's like you've been outnumbered. I always felt like Aiden, the original spelling is like hard for me to pronounce. Someone says do Seth. Oh, Seth Aruski says do Seth. I think Seth is also sort of in the same bucket as like Leonardo and Leo, that are like rising now, but they're not like super trendy. What is going on? What is going on? What do I click to get to the thing? Oh, here it is. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, Seth is not trendy. I'm sorry to tell you that it has been 20 years of straight decline for this name. But I feel like I keep having to say that decline... Oh, is my microphone too loud? Oh, well, if you hear me clip, whatever. Decline is not the same thing as, like, a bad name, right? Like, my name has been in decline for, like, 60 years. Right? My name has been declining so much... Hold on, I'm going to turn down my voice. My name has been declining for so much that it's not even registering on the year I was born. FNAF Fan 93 says do Corey. Let's compare Corey. So growing up, when I told people my name, they would always think that I meant Corey. And like when you go to a store and they give you like these little name, there's like a pillar of name tags that you can buy as a souvenir to take home, like as a memorabilia. I would always have to settle for Corey instead of Carrie, because it's a much more common name. And also, especially when I was born, it was more popular. I think that what's interesting is like Cody, which is like a similar name, has one of the shortest ranges. Like, it was like in and out the fastest out of any name. Like Cody, like look how narrow that peak is. Like if you meet someone named Cody, it's like you're born in the 90s. There's just no question about it. Just like Brittany for girls. Like, if you're named Brittany, like you're born around 1989. Lucas Simmons asks, how long has Lucas been a top name? I don't know many people with my name, at least not with it spelled that way. So I think Lucas is sort of like not fresh. Like it's rising right now. But like it hasn't always, like it's always been a name that people knew about. So it's definitely not an invented name. But like when I was born in 1997, it was kind of, I feel like it was sort of like a name that was just like on the list of options, but now it has become really like one of the front runners. And I think it was in the top 10. Yeah, it was in the top. Oh, it's still in the top 10. It's been pulling 8th, 8th, 8th. So that is, oh, Luca, yeah. On Nameberry, which is another website that tracks this stuff, they've been talking about how Luca, maybe with a C, Luca, both of them are rising faster than Lucas itself. So maybe one day Luca will overtake Lucas. I think it's a good name. I think it's timeless. Like even if this sort of trend that's happening right now like dies out, it's never going to become a name that sounds really elderly, you know, in the same way that Dewey might. Okay, if you quote that and then like bring it back to me in like 80 years, maybe I'll be wrong. Yeah, do Edward. Why do people want me to do Edward? Seth Aruski and Joe Jamation says do Edward. Well, okay, because I made the Abacaba video, I know that Edward starts in the top 10. So in 8th, let's see. Okay, these rankings. See, like 8th, okay, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 8th. There's like it spends like decades in the top, and then it's just downhill from there. So that's kind of like to be expected with these names. Like I don't expect this to ever revive. Wait, okay, I was gonna search that. Wait, youtube.com/abacaba1. I wanted to. Oh yeah, so.
Wow.
The very first frame of like this video. Oh, that might be loud. Is important because I don't know, like the physics simulation for these bubbles, like it matters a lot where the bubbles start out. So like I think because of that, I got pretty familiar with like where all the names were at the very beginning, even though this is like a time period that no one cares about anymore. Do Boyfriend? No one is named Boyfriend, okay, and they never will be. Like I know because of Friday Night Funkin' and all that, but like let's be real. If you're an upcoming parent, no matter how crazy you are, you're not going to name your child Boyfriend. Don't test me. Like, don't. Oh, Miles. This is another one that I was keeping my eye on because like, imagine you're named Miles and then you have like a little brother and then your parents say, we're going to name him Kilometers. That would be quite embarrassing. Yeah, do Haley. I don't know what it means to do. Like, just search it. Like, you can all search this yourself. So with Haley, I think this is sort of like an interesting name because some names have a lot of different spellings, and them having different spellings causes the rankings to like, you know, you're splitting your vote essentially. So it'll land much lower on the leaderboard than it should. So Haley used to be spelled without an I, like Heley, and if you add the two together, let's see, how can I show these at the same time? So, okay, remember that in 2001, both Haley and Haley are at 0.40%. And I think Emily was the number one name. Oh, actually, it's not even close. Never mind, not Haley. Basically, I think like Haley would have been a top 10 name if they could combine their spellings. But you can see that like if you look at these rankings, they only got up to like 30th or like 28th, 24th, 23rd, 19th. But yeah, It split the vote. This also happened with Jackson, by the way. I remember like I looked up this Nameberry page that like talks about different spellings of names, and like they actually concluded that if you combine Jackson spelled Jackson with Jaxon, it actually is the most popular boys' name of the 2010s, and like it's getting pretty close to crossing over. Do Karen? All right, I know Karen's. This name has a new meaning. We all know what Karen means, so I don't think I need to explain. But I mean, it makes sense. Like, you know, when people talk about Karens, they usually think of like middle-aged, I guess, women who want to see the manager and all that. But like the median age is probably around 60 right now, so it lines up with the data. I will say that. Okay, the spelling of Jackson I think is the most interesting is Jaxson, because like I sort of feel like the X already encodes both the K and the S sound. So I sort of feel like you're kind of doubling up on the S when you spell it like Jackson. Oh my god. I already did Donald, but it's like falling. It's like been falling for the last 80 years and it probably won't come back. Jackson. Oh, Dino Doll says my friend is named Jackson. That's really cool. I think like we might reach a point in time when Jaxon, like the name Jackson, doesn't even mean son of Jack anymore, right? Like nobody thinks that Madison means son of Maud anymore, but that's what it used to mean. So it gets a meaning of its own. Do Elon? Oh, Ian Woodruff says my name is still doing well, but it's dying. I think it's good if a name is dying. Oh, interesting. This is like, okay, it's not dying. I think it's still like holding on, holding strong. But like the less often your name is used, the more unique and special you are. The less likely there will to be a collision. I just search Isaac because when I think of I names or just vowels in general, I think they're all sort of trending right now. I guess like sort of the softer feel of like starting with a vowel is just doing well, except Isaac just fell off a cliff in 2020. What happened? Why did Isaac lose 0.04% of points? Did Isaac Newton commit a crime? What about Isaiah? Isaiah's doing fine, at least. Like it makes me so like I wonder if all these like dips, like the fact that like Ian fell in 2006, is that just random chance or did like some scandal break out? And then everyone's like, I don't want to choose that name. Oh, FNAF Fan 93 asks, I wonder if Todd is a relevant name. I think this is really interesting because when it comes to these like one syllable boys names, I think people like to lump together Todd and Chad. You know, as like, you know, I mean, we all know what a Chad is, right? And people like think of like, you know, this like hyper masculine type of person. But like, if you look at the data, well, for whatever reason, like Todd is like a full decade before Chad. So like, we're not even talking about like the same age range. Like a Todd would be like an older brother to a Chad, but they're both at least like 40 or 50. Like the average Todd is at least 50 now. So like, we're gonna need to start like swapping out these names for something more modern. Oh, xvillager11xx says, Rosie, this is not good to me, so I got 21st place. Is Rosie 21st? Do Ishan? I know a few people named Ishan. I think because this data is based on the United States, like any name that isn't like typically white or like European in any way, like doesn't score very high. Like I even wondered about that because like I searched a bunch of Chinese names and none of them like show up. Oh, Ishan is in the top 1,000. If it shows up on this chart, that means it ranked in the top 1,000. So, hooray, power to the Ishans out there. But yeah, like, a Chinese name is never going to show up at the top. How common is Harvey? I'm guessing that after 2017... Oh, okay. I mean, I know the Harvey Weinstein scandal happened in 2017. And I was thinking, like, I thought this name would fall off a cliff, but it really didn't. Like, Like it definitely sounds like an old person's name, and I can see it rising like in the early 2010s for the same reason that like maybe names like I know Hadley is also a trending name right now, or like this trend of last names becoming kind of dignified sounding first names, especially for girls, is like really hot right now. Like Kennedy for girls, or McKinley. So like if Harvey Weinstein didn't exist, like in that alternate universe, I could see Harvey, rising along with these other last names gone first, but I don't think it's gonna happen now. Is Rick or Morty here? Okay, Rick probably, just because like Richard was one of the, oh, look at that. Richard was one of the biggest names in the 1950s or something, or even earlier. So like just because Rick is a nickname for Richard, Richard's in green and Rick's in blue, means that happened. Oh my god, there's so many names that people want me to do. What does it mean to do a name? But Morty, probably not. Like, why would you name your child Morty? Mortimer. Yeah, okay, so Morty didn't hit the top 1,000 ever. Mortimer used to be in the top 1,000, like, 100 years ago. Can you do Parker and Isabella? Well, Isabella is, like, was the #1 name quickly after the Twilight series. But, like, I always think this is interesting because Isabella, like, started rising in 1990 and was, like, unstoppable. And, like, in 2009 when Twilight, was the biggest thing, it was the final push that got it to #1. But, it wouldn't have been #1 if it weren't for, like, 2 decades of momentum. And like, if you just search Bella, like, which is, I guess, her real name, Bella Swan or something, you can see it's there. But, like, all the derivatives of Isabella probably show up a little bit less, but, like, still there at some point. Yeah. Okay, well, here's Parker. Pretty cool, right? Wait, Parker, the red is feminine Parker, and the blue is masculine Parker. So, when I was born, it was essentially 100% male, and now we're looking about, I would say, like, 30-70, like, no, even more than that, because there's over twice as many, over 50% as many female Parkers as male Parkers, so it's going to be, like, 35-65 male female. So it might go the way of, like, Taylor, where, like, this is another interesting trend where a lot of names that start out unisex eventually lean way female. So, like, in the 80s, it's, like, essentially equal parts male female, and then, like, by the 90s, it's, like, way more female than male. And this, like, happened to this happens to, like, tons of names, like, even before our era. And, like, we're not aware of it because, like, it happened so long ago, we weren't alive when it was male. So, like, Kim used to be only a boy's name, and then, like, it switched to female. Kelly was also a boy's name that switched fully to female. Like, the fact you can see, like, the blue line is male Kellys, and then we get female Kellys. And now, like, anyone born, like, my age or younger will probably only think of Kelly as a girl's name. And then, what's another one? Courtney. Courtney is another one. Like, look. Okay, well, actually, Courtney never took off as a boy's name, but that sort of happens a lot. How about okay? Fred is just another one of the same bucket as, like, Edward or Frank or any other name that you see right here, or most of them, like Charles, George, Harry, Thomas, Arthur, Albert. Like, they're all just slowly. Well, I have too many tabs open. Slowly falling off. I know that, like, when Fred was the most subscribed YouTuber, it's like, hey, it's Fred. He was already outside of the top 1,000. Like, look at that. So sad. How about Charlie? I think it's more female now. I think Charlie with an E. Actually, you might be right. Oh, yeah, you're right. You actually nailed it on the head. Wait, this was asked by Ausius, but as recently as 2015, Charlie was predominantly male, but in 2016 it flipped, and now um, it's getting more female. And I know that like Charlie D'Amelio is the most followed TikToker, and that's another example. And I think that like part of the reason, I mean, there's like a million reasons for this, right? But just the fact that Charlotte is coming back so quickly is probably helping that out, because I think Charlie is short for either Charles or Charlotte. And I think it's just interesting because like if you were around in the 1980s, I mean like people knew Charlotte was a girl's name and they probably like used it occasionally, but for whatever reason, realistically, when you had a daughter, you just weren't naming her Charlotte. Like it's just not an option for whatever reason. So just because it's low on the chart doesn't mean people didn't know it was a name. Oh yeah, and Charlie XCX, how could I forget? Sus. Okay, people are putting in like fake names now. Sus is a female name now. I don't think it'll ever become a name. I already did people. Okay, I already did Michael, but like I don't even know what it means to do something. Okay, Charlotte's Web. Well, Charlotte's Web came out like a long time ago, like 50 years ago. When was Charlotte's Web written? Yeah. Well, how long was that? 68 years ago. So 1952. But I mean, like, you could argue that Charlotte's Web being taught in schools didn't really happen until a certain year. I mean, I have to look at the history of all of that. But, like, I tend to think that, like, whatever causes a big upswing in a certain decade has to be caused by something that happened in that decade that didn't happen during these dry decades. Try Ziggy. I mean, I don't know if I should try names that like I'm certain aren't gonna register. Okay, well this website said that Ziggy is a nickname for Zachary, which I would believe. Zachary is also like, I'm really proud of Zachary having a little time in the limelight, because no other Z name or like name that starts with a crazy letter ever topped 1% for boys, except for like Zachary, right? Like, oh, where is it? Like, look at that. Zachary's like the only kind of magenta, hot pink bubble there. Standing alone. So, all the power to all the Zacharys. Okay, people are saying... Okay, Alexa says there's a high possibility that Sus is an actual name. I still don't think that, like, crazy names... Like, you need to even worry about that. Like, I'm sure, like, if someone is named Sus, like a single baby from a crazy family, like, it's going to show up in the news, and then people are going to be like, oh my god, I'm so ashamed of this generation. Like, people are naming their baby Sus. But, like, it doesn't become a trend. Like, it doesn't become something big enough to, like, sweep over 1% of the population unless it's something that, like, the general public can learn to swallow. Like, I don't think... Like, Madison is sort of like a name that probably was seen that way in the 1980s, right? Like, the story is that Madison was seen as only masculine until Splash came out in 1984, the movie where, like, a mermaid names herself Madison, and everyone's like, what? That's crazy. Madison is not for girls. And then it is now. I don't think that it's going to happen to Sus. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to even entertain that thought. Anyway... Andy or Kira. I mean, I don't like typing nicknames into this, like, I don't like looking at the data of nicknames because, like, sure, it's going to show up, but, this data is all based on what's written on the birth certificate, and I think, so, like, I would look at the trends of Andrew, because there's always going to be more people fully and legally named Andrew than Andy. But I think it's interesting because Andrew's also a name that I thought was timeless because, like, I knew a lot of Andrews growing up, but the data shows otherwise. Like the peak in the 1980s is strong enough that I bet there will be a time where when you hear the name Andrew, like, you might think of, well, right now it would be like a millennial, but maybe like 30 years from now it'll be seen as an elderly person. I don't know. Are any long names popular? I think the longest name that, like, got really high up the list is Christopher, which is 11 letters. And I know that people probably don't think that's so long, but I mean, this is like 3 times longer than my name, and it probably doesn't fit into, like, most like when you had to do standardized testing and you had to like bubble in your own name, I feel like if you had a name Christopher, it's gonna take forever. But yeah, Christopher was number 2 in the world, not in the world, number 2 in the country for a long time, and for a time it was the most popular in the South of the U.S. Like, where's my? I don't know. This video of like where each state is shown
California
individually.
homeowners, if you have a power.
Well, yeah, I guess Christopher is 3 syllables. But yeah, you can see that like just based on states alone, it already like topped the entire list. The longest one with syllables that I think I've ever seen in like big enough to actually show up as a bubble in the bubble video is Maximiliano. Maximiliano. It's like the Spanish version of Maximilian, I think. And I think, did it actually... It charted. It actually is... Wait, what is it right now? It's 263rd, but how many syllables? Maximiliano. So that's 6 syllables, which is twice as long as Christopher. And it's currently in the top 300. So I think that would be the answer. T. Swanee says, Carrie, what about your energy bill? What about my energy bill? I'm not sure how that's related. I know a Reese. He's a boy. Hubert. Blaine. I don't know where these names are coming from. Squilliam says, I think it's only 5 syllables in Spanish. Max. Oh, actually, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know how it would be pronounced, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you know, in colloquial language, people are always going to do abbreviations, and like if you have a 6-syllable name, people are going to find faster ways to say it. Okay, here's Hubert. You can just like Google these yourself. Eliana versus Elaine. Oh well, okay. If you want to know Eliana's rising, but if you want to know my personal opinion on this category of names, so like I was saying, vowel names are rising in general, maybe due to their softer feel, but like one kind of trend I like to talk about is how like they used to be big in the 1880s, and then by what I like to think is like by World War II, people cared a lot more about seeming like sturdy and strong, and like, you know, we can defeat the Nazis in the World War II, and like basically like if you look at the top list of girls' names in the 80s, you can see a lot of vowel names. See Anna, Emma, Elizabeth, Ida, Annie. By the 40s and 50s, they're all gone. Like, it's only consonant names. And then, you know, the vowel names start coming back in the, like, I don't know when, like the 70s or 80s. And now it's like they're all vowel names. Like, there's Emma, Olivia, Isabella, Ava, and all that. But what I want to point out is that Elaine, I think Elaine, Elizabeth, and Ellen are sort of the only vowel names that like survived this sort of vowel drought. I'm coming up with like terminology for this like really random concept, but like in the 1950s, like you can see there's still Elaine, Elizabeth here, and there's still some A names, but the fact that Elaine is high in the 40s and 50s is like an outlier. This doesn't really happen to E names. But actually, this idea of like turning the end of the name into an A and then seeing a resurgence, like Elaine versus Eliana, I remember like seeing this all over the place with other names, like Helen. Helen is like an old person's name, but add an A to the end to turn it to Helena, and okay, well actually no, it's not coming back. I thought Helena was coming back, but it's not. Okay, so Jacob Ramper Sad says do Jacob. Jacob was the top boy's name from 1998 to 2012, I think. And well, let's see where it ranks now. So when Jacob took first place, he took it from Michael. And I know that, okay, so the year I was born, it hadn't happened yet. Michael is still in first. By 1999, so 99 is the first year that Jacob was the first name, number one most popular name. And it's also interesting because it's like if you're born in the 60s, like no one was named Jacob in the 60s, but people knew it was a name. It's okay, so it was number one from 99 all the way until 2012, and then it has fallen to 15th place. So that's like, it's not nobody, but there's still a lot fewer Jacobs than there used to be. And I think the person who overtook Jacob was Noah. And Noah is still number 2, so it's like Noah is still performing really well. Noah's was barely above 1% last year. Now it's barely below 1%, so I don't know if that means anything. Can you do Jamarius? I could search it. I don't really I don't have any memories of if Jamarius or Muhammad show up in the data, like for the US. Oh, okay, I guess Muhammad shows up in the US. I think this is sort of like a lot of names from other cultures that show up. It's like there's just a larger sort of population of that demographic that also are in the US. So like Angel, you know, I used to think, oh, Angel, isn't that like a girl's name? Because like an angel has like wings and it's like flying. But I think it's pronounced differently in like Hispanic speaking communities. It's like Angel or something, and it's a masculine name. So it's interesting because you can actually look at the popularity per state. Let's see if I can find that. Like you can look at a heat map tools. Where is it? I can't find it, but like help, I can't find it. I'm trying to find the feature that lets you see a state's popularity per state. Place name? Place? I don't think this is it. That's like the names of actual locations on Earth. Oh well, I can't find it. Wait, TRE, I just did Muhammad. I mean, did as in I searched it. Asha says, I know an Angelo. I think I also know one Angelo. But that's also like not the most common variation. Like it Angelo is the blue one and Angel is the green one. Oh, Steve versus Steven versus Steven versus Stefan. Yeah, there's a lot of variants of Steven. I sort of feel like, I don't know if this happened to you guys, but when I hear of Steve, like without the N, I can't think of anything except Minecraft Steve. But wait, this is a good interesting thing to talk about, because like, you know how I was talking about Aiden versus Aiden a few minutes ago, and how about like Aidan is the original spelling, but it got overtaken by Aiden because of like convenience or something. It's the same thing with Steven, where like Steve, PHN, what used to be the more common one, but then like people want to go with the more convenient one, which is Steve VN, and like you can see them like battling it out, but like, you know, the more convenient one wins in the end, and it's like been winning ever since. I feel like the other ones, like Stefan, yeah, Stefan is not as big. Or like, what's another spelling? This one, like they can't even compete. They're just not there. Oh, Stephanie, this is interesting. So obviously Steven is for boys and Stephanie is for girls, but the average age of a Steven is probably around 60. The average age of a Stephanie is probably around 35. Isn't that interesting? And actually, like I looked at some other names that did this. Oh, I'm talking too much. Like I can feel things like my mouth is like getting tired. But anyway, I thought this was super interesting. So Dennis for a boy. Like, what do you think? You think of an old person, right? You might think of Dennis the Menace, but that Dennis was a kid back in the like 50s when the comics started, I bet, right? So like universally, when you hear Dennis, you think of someone in like in a senior living home. Comic start date. Oh, Setharuski says, my grandma's name's Steven but goes by Steve. My uncle's name is Steve. My other uncle's name's Steven. You have 3 uncles You have 3 Stevens in your family tree? Oh, Elizabeth Polly Tyler says, oh, it was retracted. Something about Dennis. Anyway, Dennis the Menace started in the 1950s, 1951. And you can, oh, this is so interesting. So imagine you're teleported back to 1951 and you can only see the left half of this graph. Like, you would think that, like, oh my god, all the Dennises on the street right now are super young. Like, there's no old Dennises whatsoever. So, like, the way they would see Dennis is, like, the way that we might see, I don't know, like, Jackson's, or not even, like, Jackson's, like, maybe, like, Harper. Like a name that just absolutely did not exist before, like, on the main stage for a while. Oh my god, Harper, what happened? That's a big fall off. Anyway, it's like, you know, you hear Harper, you think like, you know, very young girl. You think of Dennis, if you're in 1951, you're like, that's a boy no older than 10. But now it's like, he's 70. But the real reason I want to bring this up is because Denise is like the female version, right? And Denise is like 15 years younger on average. And it's just weird because like you would think that 2 names of the same type of different genders would trend together, but they don't. Okay, actually that wasn't as interesting as I thought it was going to be. I forget, like, was it what? Well, this is Luis and Louis. Oh, T Swanee says everyone in the chat should name their kid Carrie so it hits the top 1,000. Oh, it got retracted. I actually thought, like, you know, I don't think that'll happen. Like, naming your kid something is something that, like, can only happen once in your life. I feel like it's easy to sort of make a video go viral because you come across thousands of viral videos a day, and, like, not a day, but, you know, you can boost dozens of videos a day by just watching them. But, like, with a child, you only get one chance. So, like, if someone famous can blow up a name, they have to be so famous that, like, the parent would be willing to sacrifice any other name option for that name. And, like, it can happen. Like, it happened with Shirley Temple, right? Like, in the Great Depression, you know, I guess parents were so sad that they just wanted to see that happy little girl on TV dancing. I know it was, like, a traumatic experience, but, like, it's... Well, what was I going to say? Oh, Elizabeth says, hashtag get Carrie to the top 1,000. It already is... Oh, Carrie is not in the top 1,000 right now, but it was in the 1960s. Actually, what is it even ranked right now? Like, it's not on this list, but if I wanted to, I could go to here and I could, like, download the actual data. It would take a while, though. There's somewhere where you can, like, download the full data set and you can, like, find the exact number that were, like, that had each name. Here it is, beyond the top 1,000 national data. It's 7 megabytes. Okay, good. All the files here that I've previously downloaded say nothing about my private history. They're all just class stuff, so anybody trying to find dirt on me, there's nothing. Let's take a look. Actually, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm going to do it. Oh, Elijah already answered my question. Elijah was ranked 4,477 in 2018. Well, let's find out what it's ranked in 2020. Let's see if it's gone up or down. Extract all. Okay, I'm extracting the data. Oh my god, why is it so slow? What am I hiding? Well, I'm not hiding anything that, like, you wouldn't hide. Like, I'm hiding, you know, passwords or I don't know, like, credit card info. It's like, no one would, like, everyone can understand that I don't want people to know that. Why did I get to Hans? I don't know. Was I looking for Sans? I'm not really sure how I got there. Check the homework folder. What homework folder? I'm so confused what you guys are talking about. Anyway. Here's year of birth 2020. Let's see. Okay, you know what? It's fine. I'll put this on the screen. Okay, I'm gonna search my name. Yay! Okay, 26 babies were named Carrie last year. Hooray! And that is the male one. But what is that ranked? Okay, so I have to go. So these files are like super annoying because they split them up like male and female, but then like the male section, it starts halfway through the file, so I have to like find what line. Here it is. This is the beginning of males. Like Liam is number 1. So your rank is 17,360 less than the line number you're on. So we gotta subtract 17,360 from whatever line I found my own name on. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a big number. 21261. Okay, here we go. Time to find out. 21261 minus 17,360. Okay, it was 3,900 first place. Pretty good. Benjamin. So a New Yorker asks for me to search Benjamin. Benjamin is in the top 10 right now, I think, or it was close to. So okay, I remember this now. Which president was it? There's a president in 1888. Wait, 1888 election USA. This is always like super easy to search, and it's like the losers also gain votes as well. Oh, Benjamin Harrison won. So Benjamin Harrison was the president in 1888, I guess, and there's a spike in votes, but it's like on the election year, for most of the year, you don't know who's going to win until November, right? Or at least in the US, that's how it works, because the election doesn't happen until November. So even the losers will get a spike. And I forget what other instances of this there were, but there have been some. So anyway, President Harrison, Benjamin Harrison in the 1880s, and it falls off. And then for whatever reason, the name comes back in the 1970s due to something. Actually, let's see if I've, like, sometimes I included historical events that, like, caused names to rise. So let's take a look. So Benjamin Small. Oh, okay. I claimed back in 2015 when I was still in high school, I claimed that the second season of MASH with Captain Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce draws in 17 million viewers. Oh my god. Okay, so MASH is a TV show. Like, it was popular in the 70s, and I know that like my parents liked it. Right? Like, have you guys heard of MASH? It's like, I've heard that MASH brought in more viewers than any other TV show ever has, or something like that. But anyway, the characters, the main character of MASH is Captain Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye. Why is that such a long name? Pierce. And when did the show start? I don't know. September 1972. And here's 1972. I mean, it's possible, right? Like, if it went from 72 to 83, then we're talking from here in the graph to here in the graph. So, I mean, the show's long over, and I bet like most of us and most of you don't even know about that show, but the name has survived. Oh, also another thing is like you can see that like percentage-wise, Benjamin has like stayed about constant since 1975, but that percentage that would get you about like 32nd place or 29th place in the 70s now gets you 6th or 7th place in the 2010s. And I think that's interesting. And the reason for that is overall, all names are trending downward. Like, it's just a fact of the universe. Like, parents are trying to get more unique with their spellings. Communities are just getting more diverse overall. So, you know, it's just going to be true. And, like, people are more aware of more options because of the internet. So it's just going to be just inevitable that, like, the number one name these days only pulls in, like, 1% of people, whereas, like, 100 years ago, it would have pulled in 10% of people. Like look how big the bubbles are in the 1880s. Like, John is 8% of boys. Like, 1 of every 12 boys was named John. And then in 2013, the number one name doesn't even have a single percentage point, right? So the fact that Benjamin has held constant is, like, against the gravity of the world. Oh, Elizabeth says, I think it's a war show. Yeah, it is a war show. Can you do Vera? It's my great grandma. Wait, if it's your great grandma's name, that makes sense. Wait, who asked this? I want to give credit. Oh, this is by GD Mint. I remember, like, making my video and noticing the name Vera and thinking, like, I don't know anyone named Vera. Why is it so high? But that's because, like, from 1900 to 1920, it was pretty popular. Yeah. And I think, like, V as a letter is also kind of in the same bucket where they're all kind of vintage name. Oh, V for vintage, right? Like Violet and Vera are like big in the 1900s, 1910s, 1920s. Then the Great Depression happens and like World War II happens and like everyone's attitudes shift and then like these names are seen as old-fashioned from the Victorian era. We don't need to hear that. And like we need to move on to modern industrial life. No more like dainty sounding names. And then it's completely gone in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, like everyone's like, I don't know any Veras or Violets anymore. We need to bring them back. One name I think is super interesting. No one recommended this, but I want to show you. So Victor is a boy's name, and in the United States, it had a peak in 1918 and in 1945. Now, if you guys know about history, what do you think happened in the United States related to the name Victor in those in those years? Wow, I don't know. I think it also happened to Victoria, but like it's left. Yeah, you can see there's like a little. They both go blip, and then they both go blip at the same time. So this is like one of the most interesting trends that I think you can find here. Evan Bialo asks, could you do a spreadsheet with all pairs of initials? I mean, I don't know. Like, do you mean where like every pair of initials has the number one name in it? Because I think that like that would be possible, but I don't know like how I would show like data with that many dimensions. I'm trying to like I remember I had an image. I want to see if I can find it that might be similar to what you're talking about, but it might also not be. And I've never showed this to the world before. It's something I like made and I worked on. Wait, this isn't it. Wait, where is it? I'm looking through my old files right now, which is why you can't see anything. Wait, I'm trying to think. YouTube video. Oh my god, I'm so confused. I like this is like a 6-year-old project. Okay, I don't want to bore you for too much longer. Try Rebecca. Oh my god, that's like Rebecca Black Friday. There's Rebecca. I think Rebecca's like a timeless name as well, but most popular in the 1970s. And it's like if names are super timeless, then they need to do something special, or else they're like in the 2020s they're gonna fade off. It's like they're just gonna be replaced by newer trends. There's also Rebecca with the K-A-H is the original Bible spelling, I believe, but it could not compete with the more conventional spelling. Okay, I'm trying to remember processing. I think I might have found it. Names 2. Okay, so I found a folder of my original baby names project. No, that's not it. Wait. Oh, wait. No, it's not there. I don't know where it is, guys. Whatever. Okay, you're not going to see the chart that I made. Do Joshua. Okay, Jacob Rampersad says do Joshua. Joshua, I know that, like, it never got to number 1, but it got to, like, number 4, which is, like, really impressively large. And it was, like, the only boy's name to end with an A that ever got popular, because usually names that end with A, like, sound like girls' names, but Joshua is not a girl's name. I think, let's see, Joshua and Jason. I tend to think of these two like similarly, but like they're not quite the same. Let's see, Michael was the top name like during that time. So there's like 1 year where they're almost tied. Connor versus Connor. There's a lot of Connors. There's like Connor with 2 N's and Connor with 1 N. Connor. Oh, no, this is Connor. Connor. I think in my school I knew more Connors than Connors, and like the data agrees with that. There also aren't many Connors that much older than me, so I didn't know that. So what about Connor, like with only 1 N? Okay, that's an interesting. I bet this is the original spelling because it's the first one to chart at all. Hello Joshua. Hello Jacob's brother Joshua Rampersad. How about Ian? Oh, there was another Ian, and I already looked up Ian, but that's the one that Ian said was dying, but it's only sort of dying. Okay, here's Ian. Yeah, I should just go through these quickly because people are asking. I'm back to do Alex. Yeah, what does it mean to do a name? Like, I don't have anything interesting to say about most of these. Again, Alex is a nickname as well, so I don't like searching for nicknames because people don't put their nicknames on birth certificates. Well, here's Alexander, and I know that Alexander did get into the top 10 at one point. Yeah. Sort of like Benjamin, where it's like Alexander has always been a name that everyone's known about. Like Alexander the Great is like 3,000 years old. But even though people knew about the name, they didn't use it very often until recently. Okay, I keep seeing Superglue ask for a Reese, so I can do it. This name has turned female very recently. So, wait, did you guys ever watch Malcolm in the Middle? Isn't there like the older brother, the second one on the list is named Reese, right? I think that's the first time, and maybe the only time I've ever seen someone in media named Reese. So, yeah, there we go. How's Vincent? I don't know, like, I think, okay, probably gonna end the stream now, because all I wanted to do was just talk about, like, my prediction, sorta. So I think this has gotten, like, a little further and longer than I was anticipating. Oh, I also got my COVID vaccine yesterday, so, like, I don't want to use it as an excuse, like, oh, I'm tired, but, I mean, I was, like, feeling kind of groggy when I woke up. Oh yeah, Malcolm in the Middle is great, says Vincent's Virtues. I'm glad someone else in the chat had a similar childhood to me. Yay! Okay, Vincent, big jump in the 1960s. What could that be? Okay, so what I would do for like the research for like videos like this, you know, the historical event, is I would look what year did it have a sudden bump up that's like more than just random chance. So 1962. And then I would just search Vincent 1962 and hope that something shows up. And there is essentially nothing. So I don't know. I don't know why it had a boost. But one time that like this worked was if you search Darren. Okay, you guys didn't ask Darren. Oh, bye Elizabeth. Hypertoad. Let me do a Hypertoad's request. So Hypertoad asks for Christian versus Christian. Let's try that. So this is like Christian spelled the traditional way. And then Christian without the H is in green. So it's about like 20% of the bigger Christian, but I don't think any swap is going to happen anytime soon. Can you Janice? Janice? Wait, it sounds like an older person's name, I think. Oh, wait, this reminds me. So like, okay, you can see Janice is like blowing up in the 1930s, right? It's like Great Depression era. So it's like a new name. I really feel like the 20s and 30s were like a time of a cultural shift away from... Okay, I'm not a historian, right? But like the 1920s was sort of like the beginning of the Hollywood golden era, and I think there was like a generation of popular movie stars in a way that like the world had never seen before. So I think it's sort of the first time that like, oh, I know of a famous person who has a name that I've never used before. And so the reason I bring that up is because Janice, okay, I don't know if Janice was ever the name of an actress or something, but if you look at the 1920s, now pay attention to like this orange region in the lower left. I don't know why, but there were just a ton of actresses who had a name that started with a J. So there's Joan Crawford. Now we're looking at the name Joan, but you might also know of the Wizard of Oz. The person who played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz was Judith Garland. So like, look at Judith, and there's Janice going along with it. So like, this whole area of like orange just like, it's like a tumor. It just goes bloop, and then it shrinks. And so there's just so many of them. And like, if we just compare it with like 30 years earlier, like look how small it was versus how big it got. So I don't know how tied that is to the golden era of Hollywood, but I do think that is interesting. Were Douglas and Doug a big thing? This was asked by Humphrey Williams. Yeah, actually, I think Douglas had a big boost during World War II. Yeah, because shoot, okay, the history buffs are gonna hate me for this, but there's some General Douglas who helped the Americans defeat the Japanese in the Pacific. Okay, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. General Douglas, 1942. Is this a person? Wait, I don't think this is the right person. This doesn't sound right. Who is it? 2 S's? There's some general named Douglas. Douglas MacArthur. That's it. Douglas MacArthur. And I think, you know, yeah. This is the person, an American general, 5-star general. Yeah, I remember taking APUSH, and I remember like there being, you know, a big section, like maybe like a whole page about Douglas MacArthur. Anyway, I'm guessing that's what caused this big spike. Hooray! Oh, Douglas MacArthur freed the Philippines. Oh, this is Elijah Geronimo said that. Thanks for letting me know and making sure that I got it right. Meister Schlumpf says maybe it's tied with the popularity of jazz. Oh, you mean like in response to like the names changing so much in the 20s? I think like that whole culture kind of like all happening at the same time did that. Like a lot of like more underground communities. I'm not a historian. I shouldn't be making any statements about this, but I definitely I feel like the 1920s were a pivotal change to like what was even seen as the correct way to even name a baby or like understand what a fulfilling life is. Ice God says, Lamau, of course you took APUSH. I actually didn't want to for like months and months, and like I ended up taking normal US history for 3 days of the school year, but then I was like, all my academically good friends are in the AP version, so I want to switch. So I did. What about Seth versus Sep? Both of those aren't that. Oh, Seth short for Joseph? Well, neither of them charted in the top 1,000. A Sep is in the Netherlands, doing pretty well. Okay, so earlier I was talking about Darren. No one asked for Darren, but I'm putting it here anyway. Every spelling version of Darren had a boost in, I think, 1958 or something. And if you search Samantha, you also have a boost in 1958, or 1965, actually. And I was like, why is that? But there's a show that came out that exact year, I think, about aliens, like an alien, Bewitched, that's the show. It's not about aliens, it's about... Well, there's a couple, and the star couple of the show, their names are Samantha, a beautiful witch. Yeah, okay, so I guess the plot of the show is there's a beautiful witch named Samantha, and she meets and marries a mortal named Darren Stevens. And that is so interesting because it's like, I've never heard of this TV show, and to me, like, they could have written any names into the show. I'd be like, whatever, I believe it. But, you know, Samantha might never have become a common girl's name. Yeah, like, it was almost never used if it weren't for this show. Like, I probably knew, like, 5 or 6 Samanthas in my high school. Yeah, actually, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, there's a lot. But it probably wouldn't have happened if it weren't for that TV show. Tuck Smuck says, I'm going to spam. Please don't spam. You can just ask your question once. I do have slow mode on, but like it's for 10 seconds, so that's not that long. Aaron versus Aaron. I pronounce these two names the same. Aaron for boys is the Aaron. Aaron, I'm sure you all know about that reference. Then Aaron with an E is typically for girls, and it's the one in like this olive brown color. I think this is interesting because they both peak around the same time in the 80s, but Aaron for girls peters out much faster. And like maybe this has to go hand in hand with the trend that girls' names last shorter than boys' names because of like, I don't know, maybe like societal perceptions of like what makes a girl's or boy's name trendy or fashionable. Aaron versus Aaron with one A. I haven't seen Aaron with one A like ever, but I guess it exists. It is on the list. Did I do Cameron? No, I didn't. What about J versus J? This is Phantom Infinity. I'm pretty sure J with without the E is more. Like J with the E, I haven't seen it anywhere. Well, you know the real J, right? Like the real star of the show is Jaden. Like I don't think people realize Jaden was the 4th most popular boy's name in like 2010 or something. And like these people probably go by J for short. Yeah, look at that, number 4. That's crazy. Do Tristan. Well, I think Tristan was the name that I was shocked by because I knew quite a few Tristans growing up. Oh, Jay the Crier 77 says, "Hey, I'm a Jay. Hello, Jay. Nice to meet you." So I knew a bunch of Tristans growing up, and I just thought it was like an everyday boy's name. But there are almost no Tristans who are older than me. Like, if you look at this graph, it's like I was born here, and so if you know, like let's say you take me and like I was in a math class where most people are like 2 years older than me, there might have been no Tristans in that class, like statistically speaking. And I don't know why. Maybe there was like a movie that came out where someone was named Tristan. I think Trevor is like similar. Trevor is different. It's like much smoother. Do the bro names. I already did Chad versus Todd, and I'll do them again. But I just wanted to point out like I like talking about this, but Chad and Todd are both at least 40, almost 50 years old. So they're not bro names anymore. They're like middle-aged. What's the phrase? Like almost moving towards retirement age people. Like the oldest Todds are 60 years old. Oh, GD Mint says some of my German ancestry. George versus George versus George. Oh no, Seth the Ruski says Tristan is an ugly name. Rip. Okay, let me add the other ones. So Brad is short for Bradley. Okay, Chad is like one of the craziest trends because it's like came out of nowhere. Look how steep that curve is. Like that is so steep. Like from 1968 to 71, it's just a huge difference. Bradley is much more gentle. Like it slowly came in, slowly came out. Tyler, I never thought of Tyler as the same category as them because it's like so much younger. Like you might have a father named Chad and a son named Tyler. Billy, Timmy, Jimmy. Okay, this is recommended by Tuxmox. So, there's Billy. There's Timmy in green. What is Billy short for? William, right? I think if you wanted to name your son Billy, you would write William on the birth certificate, but I guess in the 1930s they did not. Also, like, you know, Billie Eilish spelled like the more feminine way. I think it's interesting because a lot of these names that maybe traditionally sounded... Okay, actually, this is interesting. Like, I didn't know that Billy or Bobby, both of these, were girls' names until, like, later. But they both peaked in the 1930s. Like, as in, I guess these people were born in the 30s, and maybe that's why I haven't heard of them, because they're too old. Yeah, Billy is a diminutive for Bill. This is by Meister Schlumpf. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing your last name. But Bill is a diminutive for William, so like Billy is a grand diminutive of William. Oh, Squilliams asks... Oh, wait, no. T-Swanee is asking about the whole Airy family. So, it's funny because there's a ton of names in this category, like Gary, Larry, Jerry. Well, Mary is a girl's name. Perry, Terry, and like the vast majority of them, like 90% of them, follow the same pattern. Like, just look at Gary's trend and like compare with Larry, and you start to get an idea of where all these names are going to go. So I think it's like easy to sort of like look at them all at once by just watching the video. So like they start with different letters, so they're going to come from different areas, but Larry is here in kind of like this periwinkle color, and Gary's here in like this teal color, and they're both rising in the 30s and 40s. And I think it's interesting because they all have different roots, right? Larry is short for Lawrence. Gary is not short for anything. Maybe short for Garrett. I'm not really sure. And Barry is short for who knows what. Carrie is just its own thing. Like, I don't even know what my name means. What does my name mean? It's, like, it's either like a creek or a river. But you know what? No, the meaning is me, like the human. It means nothing other than me, the human. But like, because they all sound the same, like they all go up and down together. Barry, Terry, yeah, like we're talking like going up in the 30s and 40s and coming down in the 60s and 70s. Crazy Man says most everyone used to have the same name. They would give them nicknames by changing a letter. Hence, William to Bill, Richard to Rick to Dick. Okay, I shouldn't have said it that way. But yeah, like they used to do that a lot. Eddie. Someone's Jada Cryer is asking for all the Eddies. I don't know. Like, they're all in the same family. I know Ed and Eddie. Like that's another great kids show. Kind of gross, but you know. But let's be realistic. There are no people in the 90s or later born named Edward. That just doesn't happen. Although, wait, okay. I remember hearing something that Arthur is like reviving, and I was like, "There's no way." Like, it's too old-fashioned. But no, it's coming back. It's coming back. 162 in 2020. It's when I was born, it was 287th. It's coming back and strong. Someone says, GD Mint says Joseph versus Josephine versus Joseph. Josephine is like, I've been watching that name and I'm like, oh my gosh, because see, Joseph is like very steady, like it kind of goes up, it kind of goes down, nothing too extreme. And there's like every year, there's always like a significant chunk of people named Joseph. It's never fallen out of the top 30. Like, if you look at the rank every single year, it's always at least, well, I mean, this year was 26, which is the lowest it's ever been. But look at Josephine, like the female version. Like, it's coming back, and it's more popular now. It's about 10 times more popular this year than it was 30 years ago. And I think it's, you know, when I hear someone's name Josephine, it's like a completely different vibe than Joseph. I don't know if that makes sense. T20 says, I'm almost certain Arthur is coming back because of the show. I actually kind of disagree about that. Well, okay, maybe you might be right. Like, okay, let's do some research. What year Arthur show start date? So it started in 1996, and so my first instinct was to use as proof to say like that can't be because like 1996 is way before it started coming back. But you could still be right because the kids who watched Arthur growing up aren't going to have their own kids until like 15 years later. So like there's going to be a lag between when the show was popular in the like late 90s and early 2000s and when they start having kids. So that is a good point. Oh, it's like it's blowing up in the UK. This is England and Wales. Oh my god. England is like crazy. Cuz like okay, this is popular names in like these are British people. Look at the top names for both genders. It's Oliver and Olivia. Like, they have an olive obsession. Like, they are going to overdose on that. Wait, Muhammad is 7th in England and Wales? I guess I'm not too surprised, but like that's a very different trend than the US. Yeah, I guess these names do feel a little more British, but like, you know, a lot of the trends are the same. Like Ava blew up in the US in like 2005, right? Like 2000 nothing, 2005, it's everywhere. And that's gonna happen in England as well because like the cultures are shared between the two countries. Like it's true for Canada as well. So some things cross geographic borders, like this name. Wait, there was one Ava in my graduating class of high school, and I was always like, when I did this whole project, I'm like, you know, that's back here. That's so early in the trend that like almost every person you meet who has the same name as you is going to be like way younger. So I wonder how that feels. Like if you met like if your grandma was named like Brittany, it would be like the same feeling. It's like that there's like an age clash, you know. Davin versus Gavin. I've never heard of anyone named Davin. It's like, it looks like a misspelling of David to me, but okay, well, it looks like it registers. I know that Gavin is pretty recent of a trend. I know that like the slow-mo guy is Gavin Free, right? Oh, Jay the Crier says, don't overdose. Don't worry, you can't overdose on olives. I've only done it once or twice, and it's not very harmful. Oh, Joao, okay, sorry if I mispronounced your name, but Joao Sampio says Arthur was coming back everywhere before the US. Actually, I believe that. Like, I think that the US doesn't start every trend. Sometimes the US borrows other countries' trends. Matthew Maldonado says Matthew is popular in. Well, I hate to break it to you, but Matthew is fading from relevance. I know that in Rise, it was big in the 1980s and it kind of fell off. One thing I think is cool is like, so Michael is sort of like the big bubble for like 50 years. And I felt like if we kind of group names by their first letter, so Michael's in first already by 1954. Mark is sort of like Michael's wingman, you know, sidekick, helper person, you know what I mean? It's like Michael's number one, but Mark is like providing M support to make the M names look big. But, you know, not all good things can last, and Mark like just can't last for that much longer. So like he's fading out, but Matthew comes and like replaces Mark as the sidekick M name. And it's crazy because like Michael and Matthew become the top two at one point, and like that's like a power duo. That's like Batman and Robin. Like, look at that. 1, 2, Michael, Matthew. But all good things must end. And nowadays, Matthew is like, what? What is this? Yeah, 30th. Pathetic. And Michael's not doing much worse. Michael's not doing much better. Michael is 12th. Okay, that's actually still pretty high up. But Michael and Matthew aren't even the top M name anymore. I'm pretty sure it's Mason. And Mason is ranked above Michael. Wait, that means there's no M names in the top 10. That hasn't happened. Okay. Oh my god, this is the first time this has happened. Right? Yeah, in 2019. 2019, Mason was 9th. So, in 2020, we have no boy M names in the top 10. That hasn't happened in how many years? The last year that happened was 1942, you guys. That's like 80 years ago. Yeah. Okay, Rated Pie says you can't overdose on olives. I'll test that theory. Okay, see you in half an hour, Rated Pie. Hopefully it doesn't go badly. Cool J Cat asks, what about Julia versus Julian? Are those even like counterparts? I mean, they could be. I'm actually not sure. But sometimes like names sound very similar but have like completely different origins. Wait, look at that. Like Julian is like trendy right now, but Julia, I mean, I feel like Julia is sort of like Elizabeth, that it never goes out of style. Okay, the Epic Faceman says 2 dislikes. Who cares about dislikes? Like the first episode of BFDI has like 50,000 dislikes or something. It's fine. Okay, Juliet is rising. Julie Juliet with one T. That one's okay. Juliana, that was too long. But they're all kind of in the same thing. Aiden asks, is this going on Abacaba? Probably not. This is just going to be like, I don't know, it's too rambly to go on Abacaba. Aiden says, Mort Goldman overdosed on olives. Shaking my head, olive awareness denier. Who is Mort? Okay, I'm not going to search Mort Goldman because it might be like a Rickroll kind of thing. Clark, xcanned/Connor says, Clark is another name that's surprisingly coming back. Yeah, it's sort of coming back. I mean, it kind of sounds like a last name to me, which, you know, makes sense that it would be trending right now. But, like, if you're not rising year after year, like, it's been holding steady for, like, 6 years now, so I don't think it's, like, I think it's run out of energy. One name that I thought was, like, crazy last year was Brooks, because it was like going up and up, and it went up even further. What is it? Brooks is now 91st, and like, why? I know Brooke is a girl's name, and I knew like a couple Brooks growing up, but now there's more Brooks than there are Brooks, and they're the opposite gender. Jessie is short for Jessica. I think Jessie spelled without the I is going to be more male. Yeah, like, see, here's Jessie without the I. And then Jessie with the I is going to be more female. So Jessie is... Okay, female Jessie is the yellow, brown, olive one. So yeah, I think you're right. Ethan Magnuson says, whoa, I can interact with Carrie. You're interacting now. So Jessie is more masculine. And the two Jessies I know are both male, so that kind of checks out. But of course, like, yeah, if Jessie is short for Jessica, then like Jessica is both female and more popular than all of them combined. The Kitten Gamer says hello Kitten Gamer. Thomas Korytkowski says greetings from Poland. Hello, people from Poland. Oh, Mort Goldman is a character on Family Guy where he was a record mogul in the 1970s until he fell into a deep depression and had an wait. Oh, I had no idea. Like, wait. I was just making that up about the olive addiction. Oh, Family Guy. Okay, yeah. I don't watch Family Guy, but like, I'm not surprised. Oh, this is for real. Olive addiction. I totally didn't even know that this existed, but I mean, I was just talking about how like Olivia and Oliver like are the top two names, and I thought that was so random that like a random food would be the number one names. But like, I guess a character actually has gotten an olive addiction. Too bad. So bad for you. How popular is Marshall, asks the Epic Face Man. Probably not very. Oh my god. This is like the most consistent name I've ever seen. Like, look how flat it is across the board. So this is like timeless. Marshall is kind of cool because you can have like Marsh as a nickname. Barack doesn't chart in the top 1,000, so it doesn't have a thing. Sorry about that. Who asked that? I can't find it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, the Kitten Gamer says having a small carry stream where he can read all the chat seems pretty great. Oh, I'm glad you think that, Kitten Gamer. Yeah, it is true that like this is a smaller channel, and that is why I'm streaming here, because I just want to talk about names, and I think that like it's easier to talk about names when there's fewer people looking. Let's see. Anyway, XX Killgamer XX Bacon Plays asked for Kenzo, which I think... Oh, it is... Okay. I want to say I think this is Japanese, but like I didn't want to say it before I showed up because if I'm wrong, that'd be embarrassing. But it is Japanese. So it charted for the first time in 2018. That's super recent, but it's already like rising really fast. And this is interesting because I know the name Enzo is also rising, but I think Enzo has a completely different origin story, right? Enzo is Italian, yeah, short for Lorenzo. And Vincenzo. But, I mean, even though, like, Kenzo is Japanese, I can totally imagine a parent being like, man, I want to name my son Enzo, but just given how popular Enzo is, I already know 3 of my mommy friends already have baby Enzos, so I'm going to choose Kenzo. Like, that probably happens, and that's probably what's happening here. Oh, this is, like, interesting. This is the kanji for it. And this is, like, san, meaning 3, so that's pretty cool. Oh, the Epic Face Man says, I've been here for 2 hours and my eyes are red now. If your eyes are red, then take a break from the stream. You can head off whenever you feel like it, and I will understand. R. Campbell says, Enzo was popular in mainland Europe a few years ago. That could be why it's rising now. Oh, actually, I'm not surprised, because if it is based, if it did come from Italian origin, then that would make sense. Oh, here's France. Oh wow, France! Look at that, 2005. That's way before it was trendy in the U.S. Yeah, like if you could superimpose these, yeah. So the U.S. is just copying other countries. Italy. Okay, that's weird. Enzo doesn't even show up on Italy's popularity chart, so maybe it's like a name that people try to take from Italy, but Italy doesn't want for itself. I don't know. You should look at Thomas's. Okay, Aiden just put in Elon Musk's child's name, which is not going to chart anywhere. Thomas is. I feel like Thomas is like one of the only names from the very oldest snapshot that I have on the screen right now that have survived. Like, it just feels like Thomas doesn't feel as old-timey as Frank, George, Charles, Robert. It feels a little fresher, and I don't know why that is. One thing I thought was interesting is that Thomas and Timothy are like twins in a way. Like, for a very long time, like through the 70s, they were like super close in popularity. Or maybe not, I don't know. But like, yeah, you got Timothy and Thomas in the corner. Okay, yeah, I can see, like, I forgot about Todd, and Todd is just kind of in the middle. Oh my god, so but by 1980, Todd is like tiny. But Timothy and Thomas survive. So like Timothy and Thomas are like the old school crew, and then here's Tyler. Tyler gets bigger than both of them. Who's the biggest T name now though? Is it still Tyler? I hope it's not still. Nothing against Tyler's, but like Tyler's probably been the top T name for way too long. Theodore is the top T name now. What is Tyler at? Tyler's 129th. T. Swanee says Tommy is a nickname for Thomas. That is true. Yeah, so just look at the blue line. Okay, anyway, I noticed people are starting to say, wow, this is... Okay, U-Boat says, wow, this is still running. Okay, I'll probably end this soon. Oh, Mokuzai says, I'm French, Carrie. LOL. Oh my gosh, so that means that you probably are more aware of these charts. This is... What? This is Thomas in France. How do I get to top French names? I don't know. Yeah, but I'll probably end the stream now. Oh, Tyler Joseph. That is another famous Tyler. Oh yeah, okay, I guess one thing I could like search before I end this is like names that have fallen off really fast. Yeah, ISIS, once it became a terrorist group in 2014, obviously people are going to stop using it. I did have like a healthcare worker like during some doctor's appointment whose name was Isis, and like she was obviously in her like 20s or 30s, so there's like no way, you know, her parents would have known about this, and I just felt like that was so unfortunate. But another like Adolf is another example of like, well, what I'm surprised by is like Adolf didn't fall off a cliff in World War II. Like I thought people just completely stopped using it, but it lingers until 1970. And this is the more popular spelling, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just surprised like who would choose this name after World War II, but I guess there might be like family reasons. Who knows? Another one is Monica. So you guys might know the whole scandal with Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton, which was kind of like the world's first cyberbullying incident. Well, I won't go into the history, but it happened in 1998, and like the name was like boom, and it's kind of sad because like otherwise the name would have probably survived. Yeah. Oh, this data is in the United States, by the way, and I'm just talking about only the U.S. because like I live in the U.S. and also the data for the U.S. just came out a few hours ago, I think, so that's probably why. Yeah. Okay. Probably gonna end the stream now. Yeah, as a reminder, I won the competition. Wait, let me see. Oh, what time is it for me? It's 5:28 p.m. So it's pretty. It's like it's sunny outside. I should be playing in the grass. I guess I'm not a kid, but still. Okay. Before we finish, I just want to let's bring back the leaderboard that I'm on top. I still can't believe that I actually just did this on a whim, and I'm at the top of this leaderboard. Oh yeah, thanks for the congrats, T Swanee. Bye Setharuski. Bye Ben He. Bye Danny. Bye Reverse. Bye Kitten Gamer. Bye Mokuzai. Bye U-Boats. Bye Chorus Ara. Bye Melinda. Bye Chopper Dragon 39. Bye Kitten Gamer. Bye Alexa Alexique. Thanos is a nickname for Jonathan. I never thought about that, but I could see that. Bye Metal. Bye Mokuzai. Bye Joel Sampio. Bye Ruben. Bye Tatno Head. Bye Nightly Storm 678. Bye Toby Fenner. Bye Sleepy Sock. Bye Neg Nebulous. Bye Cool Oak. Bye Meister Schlumpf. Bye Setharuski. Bye the Jeff Show. Bye I think they're repeating now. Bye Squid Hughes. Bye Jacob. Bye Orange Thanos. Bye Matthew Mortori. Hi Matthew. Oh my gosh, you caught my stream. Bye. Okay, at the last second though, because I'm about to end it. Bye Ruben. Oh, I already said bye to you. Bye Cyan plus Captain. Bye XX Kale Gamer XX Bacon Plays. Bye Rated Pie. Bye Mokuzai again. Bye Simon Travinkus. Okay, I'm just gonna click end stream.